Hello, everybody. Trying to adjust my tablet. Moving a little behind time, but I'm here. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, everyone. I tagged some people already. It's the weekend. Happy Friday. Welcome to my empowering session. Love Me First. Love series. Good evening, good evening. Towards the night right now, but a little bit behind time. A little bit behind time, but I'm here. Welcome, happy Friday. Hope you had a good Friday. Hope you enjoyed your fabulous Friday. Yet another chance to appreciate the things that we didn't deserve, but God decided to bless us anyway. Again, welcome. Welcome to my Love Me First love series, all geared around Valentine's Day and self-love and loving you first and not waiting for anybody else to show you love, but rendering love to yourself in spite of who don't. And everything else is extra. Again, happy Friday, favorable Friday. Hope your week went well. Hope you defeated any challenges that came about. You know, did something better that you might have been a little challenged last week. All of those good things. So, hope everything, went well today. Just waiting for a couple of more people to come in as I open up. Like I said, I'm running a little bit behind time. Took a nap, had to, get the baby situated, had to eat. Then my tablet wasn't charged. So, I had to take a little nap and refresh. So I'm a little bit behind time, but I'm here. So welcome. Thank you for tuning in. And I hope that you will enjoy something that I say. Something that I have to say. This empowering session is basically just about learning us, because it's not just for you, it's for me as well. Learning us and understanding us more. Learning us and understanding us more. There were a couple of things that I would like to recap from the intro that I did earlier this week, which was which went well. I got some good feedback from some people of how they enjoyed the intro. So if you enjoyed the intro, I pray that you will be able to enjoy tonight, which is the first night. I will be doing this for the next 3 Fridays. We started at 8:30 tonight, so I'll say the next 3 Fridays at 8:30. Not planning to take a lot of your time. Thanks for the hearts, Adriana. Not planning to take a lot of your time, but just to share Some encouraging words. As y'all know, that's what I like to do. Keeps me going when I'm helping somebody else, and somebody else help me. We exchange the love and keep going and keep bouncing back and keep defeating them struggles and everything the devil is trying. We just stepping over those giants. So that's what this is about. A couple of things I will mention from last week. Just as a little recap for those who did not join me last week. This is geared around self-love, and self-love is something that a lot of people lack, but they're not able to admit it because of the effects that it have on them. And it's geared around a whole lot of different issues that I talked about last week, and some of those issues will go into tomorrow. Some of the reasons that people lack self-love and some of the causes behind some of the effects of self-love, of the lack of self-love. And we'll talk about that more tomorrow. But a lot of people deal with the lack of self-love. They just handle it differently, and it affects them differently. That's one thing that I wanted to say. And another thing that I wanted to say is, or even a question, to challenge someone: how can we love someone properly if we haven't learned how to love ourselves? So how can we render love to someone else, our mate, our spouse, our kids, our best friend, someone close? How can we render love to them if we have not yet properly learned how to love ourselves? And then also, a lot of times we love based on the potential for people to make us happy, but we ignore our own personal potential to make ourselves happy. So we depend on other people to make us happy, and then when they don't make us happy, we become disappointed. So many different, hey Keisha, so many different, and my dad is watching, y'all. Oh shucks. So many different, it takes us through so many different changes when we give love, or I would say it takes us through a lot of changes when we give love based on acceptance and we don't get what we expect in return. It takes us through so many different changes. So that's why also self-love is important. So like I said, we love based on the potential of being loved a certain way, but when we don't get that love, it takes us through a lot of different changes. So and also know that self-love is, no one is exempt from the lack of self-love. We see preachers on the pulpit, we see all different pastors on the pulpit, we see preachers, we see these athletes, these singers, artists, no matter who they are, famous or not, no one is exempt. Hey Rima, no one is exempt from dealing with the lack of self-love, because self-love can come from something that we've dealt with in our youth and we just failed to neglect it and not deal with it properly, and now it has carried over until the young adult stage, the grown stage, maybe the older stage, and it affects. So there's no limit of age or anything. Titles don't matter when it comes to the lack of self-love. No one is exempt. No one is exempt. And also with myself, with, like I said last week, with dealing with a personal struggle of having to recap and get myself together and defeat the struggle of going through several cycles of lack of self-love. I know how hard it is to be able to, become stronger in that area. Because it's all, like I said, it's all types. Thank you. Because it's all types of situations that can lead us to that point. And with myself, I cannot suggest anything or get on here and suggest or encourage someone to do something that I'm not trying to do. I would say, as I said last week, the self-love is not something that is just established and it's done. Oh, I love myself and I'm good. No, self-love is something that we have to establish and maintain, because we go through all different circumstances and all different types of problems that may affect our self-love. And that's relationship, that's family, that's friends, that's all different types of situations that can affect our self-love. So you have to be able to maintain your self-love, and that's no matter if you're married, that's no matter if you're single, no matter what your relationship status is. There are a whole lot of married people that don't love themselves. And oh, thank you, Tasia. She said I look so pretty. Thank you. But there are a whole lot of married people. There are people that are married and they're dealing with lack of self-love. They're depending on their partner and the way they treat them to make them special. There are a lot of people that are in relationships the same way. And the best way to deal with the lack of self-love is to be by yourself and learn how to love you first, so that you can first make yourself happy and then make someone else happy. So no matter if that person stays or goes, you're still good. So that's why I do this, because I realize for the women, and like I said, also trying to re-rank my self-ministry, men struggle with it too. We just don't know as much, because the man may stand behind his pride, or and everything else, and he just might not share it. But men and women deal with the lack of self-love. So it's very, very important. For me, I decided to do this geared around Valentine's Day. People that are single, sometimes when we're single, I've been single and Valentine's Day came up, and you feel some type of way because you don't have that person there to show you the attention that you may necessarily want, or you're dealing with someone that may not show you the attention that you want. So this Valentine's Day, I challenge someone: don't wait for anyone. Your husband may treat you, your boyfriend may treat you. Hi, MJ. No matter what, but do something for yourself. Like before your husband take you out, before your boyfriend take you out, before significant other, or you're dating someone or whatever, do something special for yourself. That way, you're never disappointed. And that's what all of this is geared around, because self-love just doesn't, the love factor just isn't important on Valentine's Day, but it's important every day. Self-love learning to love ourselves can get us through a lot of difficult situations. Some that I will share one of the nights this week or whatever. So like I said, no one is exempt. No one is exempt from self-love. So there are 2 topics every night. I have like 2 topics, and it shouldn't be long. I never try to go over an hour, but every night, and this is day 1, I came up with 2 different topics that I wanted to talk about regarding self-love. And tonight, the first one that I want to talk about is, what is self-love? Self-love to me, and I said this last week for those watching, if I say anything and something come to mind, and you think about something, or you feel that it's something that I left out, or something that you want to add on, feel free to type it in, and I will read your comment, and we can just go from there. It was it was very helpful last week. Anthony kind of got me to the point where he had a whole lot of comments, and he was really rolling, and it made me feel good. So if I say something and you want to add on, if I say something, you got a question or whatever it is, if I can, I will try to, return whatever I can to you, so that you will understand from the mindset that I'm coming from. So the first topic tonight will be, what is self-love? What is self-love? Self-love to me could be one thing, but self-love to someone else could be something else. So when I talk about certain definitions, whether it's tonight or the next 2 Fridays, I actually went online and I looked this up, because like I said, to me, it could mean something. It could mean one thing, but to someone else, it could mean something else. And I wanted to just, be direct with what I say. So when I looked up self-love means thinking of ourselves first, and thinking of our own well-being. Thinking of ourselves first and thinking of our own well-being. That was the definition that I got. So our own well-being, how we live, how we focus in so many different areas. It could be how we treat ourselves, how we think about ourselves, so many different areas. But what is self-love? What is self-love? I think I came up with two questions when I thought about what is self-love. And the first question I would say is there any current situation that you're facing that's affecting you from becoming more in tune with yourself? So, on a day-to-day basis, we go through a lot of situations, circumstances, like I just said, and those circumstances will affect our self-love. So maybe for someone there is a situation or circumstance or problem or issue that you're going through, and maybe that circumstance and that situation it's affecting you. Maybe it's affecting you from loving yourself more, for pursuing yourself more, from growing more, maturing more in the areas in which you need to do, but you're just a little challenged. You may just have a little relapse sometimes. It happens. Even with myself, I got a plan going and I'm doing good. And then all of a sudden I find myself back where I didn't want to be. So now I got to get my game plan back on, and I got to keep on going. So is there any circumstance or situation that you're currently facing that is affecting you from connecting with yourself more? Is there any situation that's affecting you? And if you do have, if that stands out to you, the next question I would ask is, have you identified how it affects you? Have you identified how it affects you? MJ says, next topic for my next book. And thanks, MJ. I'm good all around self-love, I'll go more into that as we go into these sessions, sharing with my personal experience, but definitely self-love will be in my next book. So have you identified how the situation may affect you? Have you identified? There are 3 ways that it might affect you, and I spoke on these things last week. Maybe it's physically. And let me take a step back because there were some things that I left out from the question. Is there any current situation that you're facing? When we're talking about situations, that can be from accepting any type of treatment that you shouldn't accept. You're just not there yet. You're just not stronger yet to resist that. Treatment. You're just not there yet or strong enough yet to walk away. So it could be any type of treatment. It could be a relationship concern. Just not strong enough. You're just not at that place right now where you're just able to find the comfort to step forward to get out of that relationship issue or that relationship concern, or work past that relationship concern. You're just not strong yet. You're just not there yet. It could be a person, a certain person that is hindering you from learning you, becoming more in tune with you. And as I said, it could be a variety of situations and a variety of circumstances. So it could be, like I said, when you're dealing with the lack of self-love, it could be coming from a certain type of treatment that you're getting that you don't deserve, but you're just not strong enough. You're just not there yet to turn away and move forward. It could be a relationship concern. It could be that relationship that's just getting the best of you, but it's better, and I've been in this place. You feel that it's better to have that person there and not deal with the loneliness of being by yourself. And it could be a person with various types of reasons behind it. or as I said, it could be a circumstance or situation. So the question that I had asked before I went back to that was, have you identified how the situation may affect you? So for those just tuning in, there were two questions that I asked. The first question was, and it's all geared around self-love, is there a current situation that you're facing that is affecting you from connecting with you more? And if it is, have you identified how that situation affects you? And it could be a it or it could be a they. It meaning, a situation. It could be a they, a person. It could be the way, physically, the way that you're treated, the way they treat you, the way that you treat yourself. It could be emotionally, the way that you feel about yourself. And it could be mentally, the way that you think and react, when things affect you. So physically, emotionally, and mentally. And those were the two questions that I thought that were kind of challenging with opening up, talking about what is self-love, and like I said, self-love is just thinking about your own well-being, making sure that you're good first. As mothers, we got to be good to take care of our children. We got to be in the right state of mind to take care of our children. As wives, we got to be in the right state of mind to render that love to our husbands, and as siblings, to initiate love properly to our brothers and sisters, and so on, nieces and nephews, and so on down the line. So it's very important. So first of all, self-love means thinking of ourselves first and thinking of our own well-being. Finding happiness within ourselves, definitely. Not depending on anyone else to make you happy, but taking the time and getting to the point where I'm just going to make myself happy, and then recognizing and understanding how the situations we choose to put ourselves in really affect us. A lot of times we'll say, well, I'm going through this and I'm in this situation. But the truth is, we put ourselves in that situation. We put ourselves in that situation, and we allow the circumstances to happen in those situations. And that's not to say that, anything bad, because as I just said, we have to become stronger. Last week I spoke on, it's like baby steps. We take baby steps. No one's going to get it all together at one time, but eventually, I will say this, you will get tired. And when you get tired, that's when you're going to put forth your best effort, is when you get tired of dealing with the circumstances and the situations that come behind the lack of self-love. So first we have, making ourselves happy, just making ourselves happy. Well, first thinking of ourselves and our own well-being, then making ourselves happy, and then recognizing and understanding how the situations we choose to put ourselves in affect us, because those are very important. And then the last question I would ask would be, if we are dealing with circumstances that are affecting us, and then we think about how they affect us, we have to determine how long do we plan to let those situations continue. How long are we going to stay in that relationship? How long, and I'm not saying anybody, should get a divorce or anything like that. There's always the option for counseling or self-therapy or anything else. But, how long are we going to let that marriage get the best of us, with anything? No matter what the situation is, like, how long are we going to allow that to continue? Because we're allowing ourselves to be diminished of something, diminished of our self-worth, diminished of our self-value, which is very important. And mentally it matters, because you got to be in the right state of mind to deal with the life challenges that we face. Just to get up in the morning, you got to get yourself mentally prepared to go to work. You got to be physically, stable. Your body got to get to a certain point, whether it's drinking your coffee or exercising. And then emotionally, you got to prep yourself. Emotionally, you got to prep yourself So you just gotta, you know, do it for yourself and not keep putting it off. Because I'm telling you, when you make the choice to work towards loving yourself more and you see the results, because sometimes we doubt ourselves. A lot of times we doubt ourselves. You know, I look back and say, man, why did I allow that to happen for so many years? You know, or how did I put myself in that situation for so many years? You know, but it's not something that I beat myself up about. I just have to realize that I experienced certain things. I went through certain things, and certain things affected me a certain way, where that's all I knew at the time. But it took for me to be introduced to different methods and different ways, people to come into my life and tell me that I deserve more. I was better than that. People to be honest and not tell me what I wanted to hear, but tell me what I needed to hear. All those types of things that caused me to just wake up, have a reality check. Situations of getting tired of, I'm being honest, y'all, running from man to man. You know, trying to fill a void of feeling the need to be accepted through love. But I was accepting the wrong type of love. And I just got to a point where I got tired of dealing with that. And I also went through a point where I got into the point where I began to love myself. I went through the cycle of loving myself, but then I became so easy. I became so open. I became so quick to recognize that the man that I was dealing with didn't love himself. So I went over and beyond to help him love himself. And in spite of that, you know, dealing with that circumstance and not understanding at that time that I cannot instill love in anyone else. That love has to come from within. And at the time of going through the situation, I did, at the time of trying to render love and trying to be there for the mate that I was with for a short time and try to help them with their issues, because I, quote unquote, knew how it was to lack self-love and to not feel good of yourself, or to feel disconnected from your family and have them not understand what you were going through. So many different things, I went over and beyond to help, you know, someone try to become connected with their self. And in the midst of doing that, you know, I lost my 14-year-old son. And it's challenging. But again, things happen and we don't understand until we go through different cycles, that now I know that I can't make anyone love themselves. I can encourage you. I can, you know, all I can basically do is encourage you, you know, but I can't make you love yourself. I can't worry more about you loving you than what you want to love you, basically. And at the time, that's what I was doing. I was worrying myself about someone else loving themselves, because I'd been through it. I knew how hard it was. And I lost something so so valuable and so close. Someone, my son, so valuable and so close. And so self-love is definitely something why I speak out about it, because like I said, self-love can cause us to make the wrong decisions. The lack of self-love can cause us to make the wrong decisions. Not understanding self-love can cause us to make the wrong decisions, you know. So I've learned after that, you know, I will encourage, I will, you know, try to uplift, but I just realized that I cannot instill love in someone. They have to want to love themselves. They have to want to get past whatever situation that they're dealing with, to make a more positive outlook of themselves dealing with the lack of self-love. So it's very important. So the second, so I wanted to say this. Last week there were some things that I mentioned. I mentioned a couple of things last week, a couple of situations and circumstances of, thanks MJ. MJ said, well said, Jenkins, thank you. And MJ, you had said something else a little while ago, but I was so deep in my thoughts, I forgot to mention what you said. But hello, Yo-Yo. Last week, I just want to recap some things that I said last week. Last week, I had mentioned some things. And I'm gonna try to find it right quick. I had mentioned some things, some voids with dealing with self-love, and this is regarding women and men. With dealing with the lack of self-love, sometimes the ways that the situations we put ourselves in to try to deal with the empty void, I'll say it that way. With trying to deal with the empty void, and I broke it down first females, and I broke it down to males, and sometimes with the females, actually what I'm going to do, I'm not even going to break it down to females and males. I'm just going to read them all, because men and women can deal with both of them. The first one would be, some people try to fill that void, that empty space with, sleeping around. And sometimes it goes further with even becoming, very promiscuous. Sleeping around was one that I mentioned last week. As I mentioned earlier, sometimes people, accept the wrong type of treatment. They know that the treatment is wrong, but sometimes they won't think about the treatment. They'll think about the person. The person. They'll think about just being there, having a person physically, than dealing with the actual situation that they're facing. So sleeping around is one way people try to fill the void of lack of self-love, not treating themselves, not being able to walk away from any type of treatment, bad treatment. So accepting any type of treatment, accepting to be abused, whether that's mentally, physically, or emotionally. Abuse is never a sign of, and I had a note for that somewhere, but abuse is never a way of showing anyone love. And a lot of times, when we see situations or stories or circumstances where people have been abused, and they'll say, well, they said they were sorry, or they just need to get themselves together and this and that. And that may be the case. The abuser needs to become in tune with themselves and realize their worth and their self-love. But the thing is, the abuser cannot love you properly, because the actions that they're doing to you proves that they don't love themselves. So the abuser has to get themselves in line and become connected with themselves before they can actually begin to even render love to you properly, or to us properly, however, to us properly. So people will, like I said, accept abuse, any type of abuse. As I said earlier, it's not that, I wouldn't say they feel comfortable with it. I would just say they're not strong enough. They're not strong enough to move forward. They're not strong enough to walk away. They're not strong enough to, step beyond their comfort zone. And that fear. So we have the females that also, for whatever reason, they feel that scripting, they have no problem, scripting for men, or men script too. Like I said, these are regarding to men and women. We have the females that will dress inappropriately for attention. We have people that will participate in some sort of addiction, or a bad habit, not being able to overcome the things that they were exposed to as a young child. And some of those things could be sexual abuse, dealing with their sexual identity, an absent parent in their lives, an abusive parent, an addictive parent of some type of addiction. And then a lot of times with some people, it's just as simple as lack of education. That can also cause people to not love themselves, having to think about how you didn't appreciate the time when you could have got yourself together and you had the opportunity to make something of yourselves, but you didn't. And currently being in a spot where you're not doing the right things to make progress, but you see everybody else around you moving forward, and needing to make that transition. You have males that may feel that it's okay to disrespect women, maybe because that's what they saw growing up. Again, because they haven't become in tune with themselves. Maybe it's anger inside. Maybe it's anything. Any one of the situations examples that I gave, they have not yet took the time to deal with that issue. So their actions are negative towards you because of that. So they may become disrespectful. Maybe they didn't have their mom in their life, so they don't know. They're dealing with that disconnection from their mom, so they don't know how to relate to women because they're holding on to not having their mom in their lives. And for the females, they're dealing with that void of accepting any type of man in any type of situation because they didn't have their father in their life. So therefore they accept any type of treatment as well. And those were some of the things. Everything else was basically still the same. So that's why it's important that we recognize what level we are on when it's regarding self-love. We could say I love myself, and we could take selfies, and we can this and we can that, but we could be good today and be high on loving ourselves, and then tomorrow we face a situation that challenge our self-love. It can switch just like that. MJ said, I wasn't raised that way. I was brought up by strong black women. So MJ is my old co-worker. So nice gentleman, well respected, I can say. And he also said, I remember all the times we talked like this at work. Yeah, we had a lot of discussions at work, MJ. Miss you too. But that goes back to what MJ was saying. You have men that, like I said, deal with not having their moms there. So, and that carries on. They never deal with that void, and they may treat women in a negative way because of that, because they're holding on and have not identified or been able to become stronger with acknowledging that issue and trying to reinforce and transition things. And then you have someone like MJ said that was raised and brought up the right way by strong black women. And it's vice versa. He was connected with his mother. He had his mother in his life, so he had a model lifestyle. But then you have some men that don't have that model lifestyle. You have some women that don't have that model lifestyle around the father figure. So in return, we go out there and we search and we try to find, and in the midst of searching and trying to find, we put ourselves in deeper situations. We put ourselves in situations that diminish basically our self-love. you know, the hurt, the pain, the disappointment of others, and all of those different things. So, like I said, self-love is very important. I don't care who it is or what it is. You know, self-love is well needed for the mental state, for the physical state, and the emotional state. So those were some of the things that I wanted to mention from last week. And that was ways of dealing with the void. So that was our first question, our first topic. What is self-love? What is self-love? So the people that joined in a little late, thinking of ourselves and our own well-being, finding happiness within ourselves, and recognizing and understanding how the situations we choose to put ourselves in really affect us. You know, we have to know that, we have to understand that, and we have to acknowledge that. People can tell us, but until, you know, we realize it, it touches us and it makes us think, it really doesn't do any good. So the second question, or the second question or topic would be, why is self-love important? Why is self-love important? One of the notes that I said from last week was self-love starts, this is my opinion, someone else may feel different, but self-love starts from a damaged heart. Self-love starts from a damaged heart. That's just how I see it. Because when I think of a damaged heart, I think of pain, I think of disappointment, I think of a void, I think of emptiness, I think of all of those things, which basically comes from, you know, being damaged of some sort. Damaged of some sort. So, why is self-love important? That's my next question. And self-love is important because it helps us to know about ourselves deeper. It helps us to know about ourselves deeper. Knowing ourselves better, we can love others. We can love others. Now, you know, we can love and render love and show love, but, you know, like I said earlier, how can we render the appropriate love to others if we don't even know how to love ourselves? You know, so we have to become in tune with loving ourselves so that we can love others more and more appropriately. And here's the thing, and this is for me, you know, I become motivated with learning how to, and I shared this last week, my cycle of dealing with self-love came from various situations, which I'll share in a minute. But getting to the point where I could actually recognize that I was tired of putting myself in repeated situations that I knew that wasn't doing me any good because it was something wrong with Keisha inside. To get to that point, to realize that made me happy. And from that day forward, it has motivated me to keep going, no matter what happens, no matter how people may make me feel, no matter people's opinions about myself. You know, I know the old Keisha. I know the old Keisha that didn't think before she made certain decisions. I know the old Keisha that was quick to react on acceptance, and it was vulnerable, and that was so needed. I needed so much. I needed to feel a certain way. I needed to, you know, I had a lot of unhealthy needs, basically. So I know where I came from, and to see myself transitioning still, because like I said, self-love is not something that you just get and you're done. You can take as many selfies as you want. You can post as many posts as you want on Facebook and say that you love yourself. But when you look in the mirror, how do you really feel about yourself? That's what matters. So when you look in the mirror and you look at yourself, you say, wow, at one time I would have done this, but now, nah, I'm not sacrificing myself for that. And I became motivated because I was beginning to grow. And we talking about late 30s, early 40s. And I'm 42 now. So we talking about just years ago, a couple of years ago. from things that happened in my youth and my young adult stage and things like that. But as I made that first step to say, you know what, didn't know how I was going to do it, but I stepped out of my comfort zone and I said, you know what, I'm not going to put myself in another relationship and allow the same thing to keep happening to me. You know, some of the things that I mentioned when I was doing some of my Keisha's Encouraging Moment, that, you know, I didn't have a problem, being honest, y'all know, I didn't have a problem dealing with a married man. Family probably didn't know, friends probably didn't know, but I went that far to do, you know, even to the point where, you know, married men said I wasn't leaving my wife and I would still deal with them, you know, but it took me, I had to go through baby steps. You know, at first I would go full force. I would deal with a married man. Then I would slip. I would get involved with a married man. I would say, you know what? And I would begin to tell, so I got stronger where I could tell him, I don't think I can do this. Because I'm putting myself back in a situation that I worked so hard to grow from. And even though, that's why I said baby steps, even though I still made the same mistake, and I'm being honest, because people will expect us to change all at one time. You know, they want us to get everything all at one time and become this not perfect person, but, you know, they just want us to change everything all at one time. And in life, it doesn't happen like that. But when you see yourself, I put myself in the same situation, but I was thinking in the back of my head, and I was talking to that person like, I can't do this. And in the end, you know, the person that I was dealing with respected me more because I was able to walk away from that situation. You know, so sometimes we have to realize that too. And one thing that I learned, that people in those situations, especially the married situation, the men saw my weakness. They saw my weakness. They knew I was weak. I shared with them some of the things I've been through and different things, how I felt and things that I lost. And, you know, so all I really did was put everything that I've been through on the table and gave them a chance to use it to get what they wanted or what they felt they could grab from me. But in return, it instilled hurt and damage and everything else for me. So then I got to the point where, like I said, at one time, you didn't bother if you was married. I would deal with you. But then I got to the point where I would make that mistake. I would say, you know what? Nah, I can't do this because I said I wasn't going to do this, and I got to break away from this. And now I'm at the point now today where a married man just is not, I don't even think about it. Like, I've been through the situations where, you know, and it happens for those that may deal with married men or women, you know, you go through the pain where you go through that moment of, first of all, we know they never going to leave their wives. We just have to accept mentally and realize that they're never going to leave their wives. They're never going to leave their husbands or whatever it is. They're going to play around for as long as we allow them to play around. And then, you know, also we just have to get to the point where we realize that we are better than that. We have to realize that we deserve more than just, you know, they're around for all of the other days, but holidays,